Hey everyone, thanks for tuning back in to mattsteinway.com. We're going to talk about presentation today, and how do you know when you need help with your presentation or you don't? How do you go about finding help with your presentation? That's what I want to talk about. Quite often owners are thinking of selling and they're a little bit close to their house. You know, it's like you might think it looks good, but sometimes it just doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't look as good as it could for sale, and presentation for selling your home is vastly different than presentation when you live there. So it's a period of time that you need to present your home well within. So when buyers come, it doesn't feel exactly like your home. It's got to feel like someone lives there and it's warm and all this sort of stuff, but it's about flow. And when a buyer walks into the home, it's about them connecting as quickly as possible with the house and how it flows and how it looks and feels. So that's why when you see a home that's being staged nicely by a stylist, it usually seems to attract buyers. And do you need to get a stylist every time? No, you don't. You don't have to get a stylist every time. Do you need to learn about a few tweaks? Yeah, for sure. Most homes need a few tweaks before they go to market. Decluttering, well, that's a given. You know, if you've got a cluttered home, it's hard for people to connect with it because there's stuff everywhere. It's about seeing how a room works. And that's why when you're selling, having minimal stuff in a room allows a buyer to get a sense of maybe where their stuff would fit or how the furniture in the room is working right now for that particular room, how the room functions. So it's got to blend both. It's got to give them a sense of how the room works, but then also help them feel how their stuff would fit in here as well. That's why when it's cluttered, people can't think. It's like having a cluttered mind with all stuff in it. You can't think properly, you can't concentrate, you can't focus. That's like a cluttered room. You can't focus on anything because there's just stuff everywhere. Now, like things like personal stuff. I hear some agents give advice about you shouldn't have any personal photos around or anything to do with your family or anything to do with personal anything. I don't think that that's right. Maybe it is right in some people's eyes. I don't think that that's right. The reason I don't think it's right is because people actually like to see who lives there. Having too much personal stuff everywhere, like tons of photos on the wall, and sometimes I see tables with heaps of personal photos on it, maybe that's a bit much for selling. But you just need to keep it just enough, just enough. If you have the whole mindset of when you're selling just enough furniture, just enough personal stuff, just enough whatever it may be, whatever else can be just enough. That's sort of the motto when you're styling a house for sale, to have just enough stuff in there, that it still feels warm, that it still looks like someone lives there, that it still doesn't feel sterile, but it feels open and flowy enough for people to walk through and imagine how it would work for them. That's the key. So should you use a stylist? Yeah, you should. If there's probably a stylist in your area. Most interior designers will give stylist advice. They don't charge too much for a consultation, like come around and just give you a few ideas without doing anything, and then I think they would give you more advice if you wanted it as well in terms of what sort of furniture and all this sort of stuff. So there's different tiers of styling. I would say definitely. We're going to do videos on gardens and stuff like that, but your landscaping, is that nice enough for presentation? And the right stylist can give you advice around that as well, and if not, you can talk to a landscaper. Most people in their profession will give you advice for a very small consultation fee. Small in comparison for the result that you could potentially achieve with your sale. So what else? Just trying to think, is there anything else in terms of presentation? We could talk about 1,000 things. Like painting, should you repaint the house? Not really. If it's clean and presentable and tidy, maybe. I heard somewhere that if you just paint the architraves, yeah, that will give like the nice fresh paint smell, but you don't want it to be too strong. It feels like you're covering something up. Paint, a little bit in advance so that it still smells nice and fresh. Should you change carpets? Yeah, if they're worn out, change carpets. Carpets are a big thing, especially in that feeling like it's clean and new and all of that sort of stuff. If you have an old home with old stuff in it like carpet and it's sort of like, where do you start? I probably wouldn't go just changing carpet and things like that, because someone will probably come in and do it all themselves. Bathrooms, like, do you renovate a bathroom? How far do you go? If the whole bathroom needs redoing, probably not. If your home's really nice but it's got a dated bathroom, yes, I probably would do the bathroom then. But if your bathroom's sort of reflective of the age of the home and it's neat and tidy and clean, you might just want to change your taps. You might just want to change, your toilet roll holder and whatever else is in there that you can. I'm looking at a bathroom in there, that's why I'm looking that way. But anything else that might be a little bit dated in terms of fixtures within the bathroom, but keep everything else. So it's a very cost-effective way of still having it look maybe just a little bit more sparkly, a little bit more fresh. Presentation is all about flow and feel. Flow and feel. So it's how a buyer feels in your home, and it's how the home flows and functions. That's what it's about. There are people like staging with furniture. That's something that people often ask me. Should they stage their home with furniture? Maybe. Yes, in a lot of cases, but you've got to move out when you stage it with furniture. And if you live there, you might want to get bits and pieces. There are people that just come in and buy certain bits and pieces to put around your home, just to give it a little bit of a zhuzh, I guess. Is that the word? Zhuzh. So that's just a little bit of a trick up. So just for the sale process. If you are hiring furniture, probably hire it for about 8 weeks if you're running a marketing campaign, just to make sure you've got it for as long as you need within that time. There's probably lots of questions around this, and I wanted to do a quick one on presentation, because price, presentation and promotion are the 3 most common factors that you need to consider when you're selling your home. So presentation is one of the biggest. Spend a bit of time just looking at it objectively on how your home looks and feels, because quite often you can't see it as the homeowner on how neutral people that are just seeing your home for the very first time will feel about your home, because you're pretty close to it. You might think it looks good, but it might not. You might need a friend who will tell you the truth, who will really give you some good advice. Speak to them, maybe not the friends that are going to just tell you what you want to hear, the friends that are going to tell you what you need to hear, but stylists or interior designers will give you the advice that you need. Definitely consult them, and some agents. Some agents might be able to give you some guidance as well, or at least come over and give you an initial report on it, or some initial feedback, and then put you in touch with the right people. Presentation, very important, consider it. Question of the day today. What room do you think is the most important in the house when you're selling? Lounge room, kitchen, bathrooms? What do you think is the most important feature in a house when you're selling? They're all important to a degree, but what do you think is the most important? Love to hear about it. Thanks for tuning in. And as always, helping make this real estate world a much better place. See you on the next video.